Okay, I finally think I'm visible and audible. There has been a lot of jerks in this entire thing. The whole thing got a little, upside down. I really hope it is all visible to all of you. I'm actually started to share the PowerPoint presentation. I am extremely sorry for all that happened, the technical glitch that was not within my reach. Anyway, so I shall be working on this and okay. So here we begin with the basics of communication, and mastering the art of effective communication is what we are calling this topic as of now. And let us begin. So the first slide talks about okay, so effective communication is key to success in any professional setting. This presentation will provide valuable insights on mastering the art of communication in the workplace. So basically, whenever we talk about communication, we are mostly dealing with situations that are professional, situations that are only within your workplace. So we are not, as of now, we are not considering the professional, the personal setting around you. So we are, as of now, only considering the professional setting, the communication that you do with your people at work. So here in this PPT, we are trying to find out the basics of it, the different mediums through which we can communicate, and of course the channels, and of course the barriers. So let us get into it. Uh, so Understanding the audience is the first job. Now, till date, whenever I take a new session, whenever I address a new audience, I always, the first thing that I do is to try to understand the audience, because once you know the audience, you actually can deliver a better speech. If you know that the people whom you are addressing are eager to listen to you, then probably they would have a better connect. You know what? Communication is all about connection. And when I say this, I truly mean that when you start communicating with a lot of people, you actually start building your network and you become a better connector. Now, for example, if I ask you randomly that if you have to be successful in today's world, what is that one thing that you need to do? Many people would say that you need to build your confidence, you need to make your personality an interesting one. Maybe somebody would say that, okay, you need to have your non-verbal communications done perfectly. That is all okay. But there is one thing that can ensure success, and that one thing is networking. For example, even at home, in your home, if your mother asks you to go to a departmental store and buy a few things, maybe in Hindi we call it a kirana ka dukan. Now, if your mother says that go and get a packet of rice, maybe a packet of salt, and maybe some spices for your home. Now, along with asking you to go to the store and get all those grocery things from the grocery store, she will also add ki Sharma uncle ke dukaan se lena. Now, what does this actually signify? You know, when she's saying Sharma uncle ke dukaan se lena, she is actually talking about one specific place. There could be many people, there could be many shops, grocery stores in your locality. But why is she insisting you to go to Sharma ji ka dukan only? The reason is the connection that Sharma ji has built with your family over the years. Now, any kind of business that you are in, the most important factor always remains the networking skills. So the better, the stronger network you have, the better you become successful in your life. So through this, we are trying to understand. Now, clear and concise messaging. Whenever you give out something which is important, you always need to have a very clear messaging concepts. Like, for example, you say something and then the other person is unable to understand. Then what is the point of saying? You are actually wasting your time as well as the other person's time. So there is the sender, this receiver. The sender always encodes the message and the receiver always decodes the message. So this entire process, along with the feedback that keeps on, you within the loop, within the cycle. And this is exactly what we call clear and concise message. When you send across a message, you should be very clear in your head what you are sending across. And when the other person who is listening to you is also very clear about what the other person is hearing. So you are sending, the other person is receiving, and the message is very clear. And importantly, concise means precise. To be exactly, to talk about things that are only required. See, at homes with our family members, we can talk a lot. We can talk things that are even irrelevant. But at work, we cannot do that. We are restricted with this time bound. We are restricted with other things. So basically, we all need to be very specific, to the point, and concise messaging that will enable the receiver to have more time to understand and maybe give you a positive feedback. So always a concise and clear message is what is expected out of you. The next one, active listening. Now, what all of you are doing from right now is active listening. See, we were supposed to start this session 20-25 minutes back, and somehow we got lost. I would say I got lost because of the internet issues or the technical glitches that happened. That has created a lot of disturbance in your head. It is not only with you, it is, you know, same with me as well. This has created a lot of disturbance because when I was about to begin this webinar, I was focusing on this. Then all of a sudden, this glitches made me think about 100 other things, and this has come somehow distracted me from the main topic. This has happened to you also. Now, this is true to all of us. When you are focusing on one thing, you can probably concentrate better, and the results would always be good. But then when you're focusing on multiple things, it becomes very difficult for us to focus on one thing and concentrate and take a result out of it. Now, since we have started the webinar and now it is working fine, so in the next 5 to 7 minutes, I can expect everybody who had lost their, I would say, the preciseness of the discussion. Now they are again starting to come back because now it has already kick-started. So active listening is very important. Even with some people, I can guarantee that right now you are hearing what I'm saying, but you are not listening. Now, there is a difference between that. Sometimes when you hear with the purpose of giving a feedback or with the purpose of understanding the message and act accordingly, that is called listening. But when you're hearing too many things, too many things are coming to your ears, reaching your ears, but you are not putting any stress in any one particular. You are rather carrying on with, okay, whatever coming to me, I'm accepting it, it's okay. Half of it will remain inside you, half of it will be vanished. So basically, you need to start becoming an active listener. If you want to become a great communicator, you ought to become a great listener, because once you listen, then you understand, then you give an appropriate feedback or a solution to the problem you were talking to the person you were talking to. Now, again, this is another very, very important aspect that I give out of 100%. This is above 90%. Now, this is not only according to me, but this is according to a recent survey that is done. Now, if we take this entire session as 100%, and if I ask each one of you that how much percentage would you give to the non-verbal part and how much percentage will you give to what I'm saying right now? Then some people will come up with 50-50, some people will come up with 60-40, some people will come up with 70-30, and many variations there. But honestly speaking, according to the study and the research, it is found that 93%, 93%, I'm repeating, it is your body language that is important, and only 7% of what you say, the words that are important. Now, isn't that surprising? 93%. Now, what does this body language mean? This means a lot of things, actually, the facial expressions, the person sitting in front of you, the gestures, the postures. And another thing which goes without saying, that is your voice modulation. We call it paraverbal communication. So when you try to put forward a point to anybody in the world, you need to speak according to the emotion of the sentence. If that sentence is a sad one, you will make a sad face and a sad voice, and then you will say, of course, you won't be saying a sad news with a smiling face, right? So that means your voice needs to go up and down and according to the requirement of the situation and the emotion of the sentence. And then only the sentence becomes acceptable for the receiver. So if the receiver is not getting a match between what you are saying and what you sound like, then there will be a huge problem. The receiver will be like, no, somehow I'm not convinced. So to convince someone, to persuade someone, to influence somebody, you actually need to have great voice modulation qualities inside you. You need to find out what is good for you, what is bad for you, which tone you should be talking in. So these are a few methods that can make our words magic. And if you don't have them, they are just simple words without any emotion. Now, moving on. Constructive feedback. Now, whatever I am talking here today in this discussion, by the end of it, we shall have a little question answer round. There, you can ask me a lot of questions. There, you can ask me if you have not understood something, or maybe you can also tell me that you have understood and you liked or you disliked the session. Now, this is the feedback, and the importance of feedback in any communication is undoubtedly the highest. Because when you are speaking, when you are delivering, you expect the other person to listen to you carefully and understand. So if that feedback comes that this person has not understood, then your whole effort of speaking into vain. But having said that, this is also true that since this other person has already given you a negative feedback, at least now you know that there has been some problem for which this other person did not understand. Maybe you can try a different method. But had it been the case that this person has not given you any feedback, yes, no, very good, nothing, then you would always be wondering, has he understood? I mean, could I have done better? What I could have done to make him understand. So you would have a lot of questions on yourself, a lot of doubts on yourself. So basically, when you want to understand if things are going good, you need to get a feedback. And when you want the other person to feel good, then you need to give a feedback. Feedbacks are very important. After every communication, there should be a yes, no, very good. There should be a decisive factor that would talk about what you should be doing. Moving on. Now, welcome to the presentation on optimizing communication channels for enhanced collaboration. Now, when we talk about communication channels, we actually talk about, we mean a lot of things, like all the channels through which we do the communication. Now, it could be a face-to-face communication that we mostly do in classrooms and in offices and in interviews. It could be, telephonic or maybe through the virtual world right now, what we are doing. It could be just a non-verbal cue. Maybe you are standing on one side of the road and there is another person standing on the other side of the road. You cannot shout, of course, there are too many cars going on in the middle. What you can do is like, now this person from the other end has also understood that you're calling him. This person again cannot shout, but he needs 2 minutes, before he comes to you. So he will say that, You have understood that he is asking for a couple of minutes. Now, this is a very strong communication that happened between two people who are from different, sides of the road, and they both are interacting with each other, and they both are understanding each other. But having said that, none of them have spoken a single word. That's the magic of non-verbal communication. You speak so much with your face and your body and your hands. You speak, in fact, more with these things rather than your words. These things can be a lie. The words that you speak can be a lie, but your face never lies. If you have gone to a marriage and the person who has arranged everything, if this person asks you, how was the food? I hope the food was good, right? And then you did not like the food, like matlab, did not like it too much, then you can say that, yeah, the food was good, it was okay. And on the other hand, if you have really liked it, how would you say? You would say, the food was awesome, too good, I loved it. Now, the moment you give that extra smile and that body along with your sentence, the other person understands that, okay, this person has really loved the food. So, what I always say that you can lie from your mouth, but you can never lie from your face. This one talks, this one seriously does. Now, moving on. Understanding communication channels, like what are the different channels as I was talking about? It could be chat, email, it could be video call, a face-to-face conversation. There could be many of it. Choosing the right tools is very, very important. Right now, as of like I know people from across the country, from different parts of the country, they are sitting and listening to me right at the moment. So, of course, it was not possible, it was not feasible for all of you to come over here, gather here, and we could do this face to face. So, we have taken up this virtual world, we have taken up this webinar as our form, and I am delivering. And you are listening also, you are paying attention. That means we all have to find out the right channel for the right time and the right situation. At workplace, sometimes when you are not sure if a guest is coming to your work, like at the workplace, if somebody senior coming over, he's just called you and told you that on 7th of March I might visit your office. Now you are informing your colleague saying that on 7th March he might be coming. Now this would be a very informal, under a formal setting discussion, where you are not giving anything in writing, but you're just calling everybody and saying, listen, I think Mr. X is going to visit us on 7th March, at least as of now. That's what I know. He's not confirmed the date. So most probably he is visiting us on 7th. Now that's a very informal information that you are giving to the rest of the people. But once Mr. X writes you an email saying that I'm visiting on 7th of March, then you would be also writing an email to the colleagues, to your subordinates, and everybody, informing that Mr. X is visiting our premises on 7th of March 2024. That is a written document which is documented, which is solid, and you cannot deny it. So when you know that something is going to happen, that is surely going to happen, and something there is security, you actually go for a written document. Rest of the times, you either inform over a telephonic conversation or maybe a face-to-face chit chat. So there are informal ways of informing even within formal circumstances. So basically, we need to choose the right channel for the right type of delivery that we need to give out. Establishing clear protocols. Now, everything has a protocol. For example, when you start dealing with something, you always make your rules set. Like, okay, these are going to be my rules for the day, and I'm going to follow them. At any cost, you follow them, you yourself follow them, and you make others follow them as well. So you basically have very clear protocols written, and everything is sorted. And now you are following them, and you are letting others follow them as well. Moving on, encouraging, open dialogue. This is so important, to have, to encourage people to have open dialogue. Gone are those days when you would be sitting in boring lectures, when somebody would give lecture and you would just listen without even, bothering what is happening, what is not. You are interested, not interested. No, basically all the interactions that we do these days has to be like, in the proper format where you are open to listen. Even if you are the superior in the office, you listen to your juniors. Maybe some of them might come up with a better idea than you have, so please encourage people to speak openly. Of course, within the limits, again, as I'm like reiterating myself, we are talking about professional environment, so it has to be all limited. There's a boundary that we all need to follow, but within that boundary, feel free to explore. The better you explore, the more you explore, the better for you. So basically, give people the liberty to speak it out. If they are facing a problem, if they have a challenge, if it is related to human resources, if it is related to some other resources, they would come and tell you. This open conversation, this environment, creating this environment is very, very important. Overcoming language barriers. Now, this is not a regular case within the country, but when you actually start working in a multinational, you actually come across a lot of people who are from different nationalities. So they have different cultures, they have different languages. Sometimes, even when they speak this common language English, their English sounds good, different. It sounds different from what we are mostly used to here. So maybe their pronunciation is a bit different. They have a different way of accent. They have a different diction. So at times it might happen that we might face challenges understanding what this person is saying. Even if he's speaking English, I don't understand, I don't get that clearly. But eventually, going down the line, you will start understanding everything because you are also adapting to that new environment, to that new style of speaking. So there could be language barriers, but try to overcome that and try to give your best to understand what the other person is trying to say, trying to convey. And you also try your best to convey your message 100% successfully to others. Uh, Now, leveraging project management platforms, this is more related to your official work. Like basically, when you start working, you have different channels of doing something. Now, try to explore different ways of doing it because post-COVID pandemic, I think the online thing has really been open to all of us. Now, things and companies are working virtually, mostly operating. So that way you can try to explore different platforms which could be the best one for your assignment, for your progress, whatever you think. If you need to meet face to face or a virtual meeting, anything is good enough. Measuring communication effectiveness, implement metrics to evaluate communication effectiveness, analyze response times, engagement levels, and feedback frequency. These are the three tools that you can use to understand or gauge if the other person is understanding. Over the times, if you are working as a team leader and you have a team, and in the first few days you realize that the team is unable to understand what you are saying, first 2 3 days you understood that, then you can start working on your tools that are available to make people understand. You can understand by the response time that is taken by your subordinate. Somebody who is listening, you are asking them to do something, they are doing it, but after somebody else is explaining them. That means there is a gap between your communication and this person's understanding. You are explaining, but he's not understanding. So there could be a gap in response time. There could be a gap in engagement levels. Maybe you are talking totally in technical terms, and this person does not belong to a technical background. So he or she is totally like lost that what I need to do to understand. I mean, half of the job I'm not understanding. So there could be problems with the engagement levels, and there could be problems with feedback frequency. Like you are giving delivery on one hand, you are just giving and giving and giving, and not expecting to hear it back from the people that if they are understanding what you are saying, if they're able to perform what you are expecting them to perform. So basically, unless you start taking very effective feedback, it is almost impossible for you to fathom if the words that you are speaking they do have a meaning or they're just going in vain. So try understanding that first. Start taking feedback from people. Now, empowering remote collaboration. This is all through the modern technology. We can empower a lot of remote collaboration. People who are not with you right at the moment, you can always get in touch with them, and there are hundreds of tools available in the market to do so. These are the channels of communication that I was talking about, the different ways, the written, the verbal, the non-verbal. And face-to-face communication allows for immediate feedback and enables personal connections, because if you have face-to-face conversation with someone, there is an immediate contact, you know. If you guys were sitting right in front of me as audience right now, then I seeing your face, I could understand if you really like listening to what I say. But since you all are remote and I cannot see your faces, so I really cannot make out if you really like it or not. I hope or I assume that you like it, but that's the best I can do. I cannot see your faces. I don't see your body language. I don't know if I connect with you. So face-to-face conversations are best when you want to build a rapport, when you want to build a connection with your audience. It is ideal for building trust and resolving very complex issues. Written communication is mostly done when things are done at the managerial level or in professional circumstances. Once a document is written, it is written. Going forward, it might go for you or against you. Either way, you will have to take full responsibility of that. So written communications, should only write things that you think you are sure about. If there is some unsure unsure things in it, components in it, where you are not very confident about what is going to happen, try not to have written communication, because that might go against you, and only sure things should be written on paper. Verbal communication, what we all do all throughout, this could be again, verbal communication includes face to face as well as virtual ones. I'm talking right now, we are virtual. If we were face to face, then also I would do the talking. So, verbal communication happens almost everywhere. Non-verbal communication, one of my favorite topics to discuss, but this is so important that if you like me, if you listen to what I say, that depends on this. This is very surprising. You might be thinking, क्या सर कुछ भी बोल रहे हो, like you are saying we listen to you, but how does your face matter? Now imagine this whole virtual meeting was done with me switching off the camera, where you don't see my face. Then whatever I'm saying right now, would you be listening to me in the same way if I close my camera? You might say yes, but honestly, no, you will not. You are sitting right there, you are listening to me carefully just because I have kept my camera open, just because you can see my face, you can see my gestures, you can see my hand movements. You know that I enjoy talking, I enjoy giving it out to all of you. And that enjoyment, that happiness is reflected on my face. And that is what is making all of you sit here in front of the laptop. Else, you would have been very bored with this session. By now, you would have closed it and gone. So, your face do speak a million words which your mouth can never. And this thing can lie, but your face will never lie. If you like something, it'll reflect. If you don't like something, it'll reflect as well. Moving on, digital communication like mobile phones, virtual meetings, Zoom meetings, Google Meets, and or Microsoft Teams, all other different platforms have come up. A few of us, the younger generation, I'm sure they're very technologically advanced, so all of you knew it. But honestly, for my generation, it was more of a push that we got during the lockdown. We learned it. At least I can talk about myself. I started to learn it because I was very, very challenged technologically, and there is no shame in accepting it. Even today, when we started the session, I was all over the place when it comes to the technology part. Thanks to all the other faculty members, all sir, everybody, they came, helped me. And so I'm delivering this. I always say this, see, I'm not good in technology. and I have no shame in accepting it. मेरे से नहीं होता तो नहीं होता. But then what I think I'm good at is delivering what my message is. And I think I can always build a connection with the people. I think I have this quality to get in touch and peep inside your heart and see if you really enjoy that or not. I think that building connection is my strength, but not technology. But you guys are from this generation. You guys are have got an upper hand in this. You guys, if you being technologically so advanced, if you start developing your personality in a different way, you start meeting and greeting people with a smile always. You always greet people, you always, look confident, you always look happy. That is going to change a lot around you. Trust me, try this for a day and you will feel amazed that, okay, how things have changed overnight, how things have changed dramatically. So the moment you have a smiling demeanor, you think you have won the world, half of it. The rest half you can always do through your communication. And with the technological advancement these days at hand, all of us can achieve anything. Moving on, cultural considerations, as I was talking about, like when you start working, you come across a lot of people from different walks of life and also from different nationalities. It is important for all of us to start accepting them. And it is such an important part of life. I can share a few, real life stories here, examples from my life. I always love sharing stories and examples that make it more lively, that make it more meaningful. I'll tell you, before coming to Punjab, before starting to work with lovely professional university, I was working in a place in Rajasthan, in Jaipur specifically. So I had a friend of mine come over to my place one evening, and I was so excited that he is coming and that I started cooking. Now, before this particular meeting, whenever we have met, I have always ordered food from outside. But since I enjoy cooking, I thought of cooking myself that day. So I actually gave, 2.5, 3 hours, good 3 hours in cooking and trying all Bengali delicacies because originally I'm from Calcutta, I'm Bengali, so I love cooking. So I started cooking all Bengali delicacies. And this person came and like at dinner when we sat, I was very excited to serve him the food. So I said, "Here you go, all the Bengali delicacies." And he looked at the food and he made a face and looked at me and like, why this sabji is so white? इसमें हल्दी क्यों नहीं है? And honestly saying, I was living in the fourth floor of the building. I felt like giving him a little push from the balcony so that he falls on his face. Trust me, I had given 3 hours of my life after returning from my work to cook, and he's like, "ये सब्जी इतना सफेद क्यों है? हल्दी क्यों नहीं डाला?" अरे, that's how it is made in Bengal. At least, have it and enjoy the taste, and then you say if you really like it or you don't. So basically, that is something that I always feel that cultural differences can sometimes make you very rigid and make you feel very out of place. So start accepting it more generously. Start taking things in a better way so that you also can enjoy life and the people associated with you also start feeling better. Challenges and solutions. There are hundreds of challenges that come our way, and there are too many solutions if we can actually think about them. So, communication barriers such as language differences and technological limitations that we talked about so far require adaptive strategies. Like, you need to adapt to new environments, you need to learn new things, and every day we all are growing. So, it's more or less a learning process. Active listening can actually reduce this problem, this barrier to a great extent. For example, you are sitting at home and your mother asked you to get a packet of rice, 1 kg sugar, 5 kgs atta, and 1 packet of salt. Now you are like, okay, mom, main leke aa raha hu. And you go out, then you get the rice, you get the sugar, you get the atta. But when you come back, your mom says, namak kahan hai? It's like, "Are mummy, aap likh ke kyun nahi dete ho?" So you actually get irritated. And now why have you missed out on that salt part? Is just because you did not listen to her carefully. Now, as a punishment, your mom will send you again. That's a different story altogether. But then Why this happened? Because you were never paying a lot of attention when your mom was actually telling you all the things. You thought you remember, but you actually don't. So basically, there are certain things that can always be omitted when you start listening carefully, actively. Now, this is a personal example. This is what is happening at home. So there is no dire consequence to this. But understand the same thing happening at your workplace. When your management, your boss gives you four tasks and you do only three of them, and the fourth one you forgot, or maybe you did not register, you did not understand, imagine the consequence of that. Management would always consider you incapable of doing it. But that's not the case. You are not incapable. Maybe you could not finish it. Maybe you did not hear it. Maybe you did not get clear like instructions related to that. There could be a problem from the management side also. Maybe they have not instructed you well. But whose responsibility is it? Who is it coming on to? It's you. You will be put fingers at, you will be blamed at that you have not done it. Your appraisals will not be good, your increment will not be good. So basically, active listening can sort, majority of the problems in life, even in your personal cycle. Whatever circle you have, friends and family, even their active listening can sort a lot of problems, let me tell. Okay, future trends, again, talking about AI innovation, artificial intelligence, things are, being done through technology these days. So start learning that. If you are like somebody who is not so technologically advanced, start learning it. I am into a profession where I teach. I'm into academics. So even if I'm not technologically that advanced, at least I have my students to help me out. I have other faculties who are advanced. They can always help me out. I'm in an industry where people are ready to help. But imagine if you are into some technology world and there is some upgradation in the technology has happened, you are not aware of that, then you might be in a fix. The rest of the people, they will not help you because actually it is going to their performance matrix, and your performance says that you do it perfectly as well. So you are unable to do it. That means your matrix going down. So there is a tough competition in the market. Start learning the psychology of the people and start upgrading yourself technically. The more you are technically uplifted, the better for you. Now, nonverbal, as I was saying, this is the most interesting chapter that I have. See all the beautiful smiling faces on the screen, as you can say. Nonverbal cues are very important. If you like somebody, you don't need to just say it bluntly again and again, I like you, I like you, I like you. No, you don't do that. You say it only once. And with your smile, they can understand that you truly like them. So that's the magic of nonverbal. Let's get into it. So this includes your body language, this includes your facial expressions, your gestures. Okay, what is the basic difference between the gesture and posture? Many of you might be having a little confusion here, so let me clear it up. When you actually talk about the upper part of the body, starting from your waist to your head, this upper part of the body, that mostly comes within your gestures. So what are the components there? Your face is the first component, your arm movements, your neck, this entire upper half of the body would come into gestures. And when we talk about posture, we actually mean from head to toe, the whole body. How you are standing, how you are sitting, how you are talking to somebody. If you are putting your hands inside your pocket while talking to your faculty, do you do that? You don't, right? So this is your posture. So basically, your gestures and postures, of course, making eye contact. Like, for example, you are giving an interview and the interviewer has asked you a question. You know the answer or you don't know the answer, that's secondary. But will you be looking here and there while giving the answer? No, not really. Because if you do that, there are two things that is proven out of it. Number one, you are being disrespectful to the interviewer. Number two, you don't know the answer. Even if you're giving the right answer, not able to make proper eye contact will make the other person feel that you do not know the answer correctly. So making eye contact is very, very supremely important. Start looking into the eyes of the people while talking, then your personality will get a little, high. And also the other person feels, wow, There is this wow factor that comes in when you look into the eyes and speak. The power of body language. Body language is a powerful form of non-verbal communication, influencing how we are perceived and understood, like how people are taking me, how they are perceiving me, and how they are understanding me. That depends on my body language, my gesture, my posture, and proxemics. Now, this is an interesting term. Let me just explain in a short way what does proxemics mean. So when you start working in a professional environment, you are not supposed to come very close to somebody. You know, the physical gap between the two people. So there is this minimum gap that you have to maintain while you are talking professionally to someone, like be that from the same gender or the opposite gender. Irrespective of that, you cannot come very close to somebody because the other person might not like it. They might not like you coming very close to them, so they might be wanting you to keep distance while talking. And that's why we always keep a distance of 2 to 2.5 feet between two people when we talk professionally. At home, what you do, but not at work. Please don't come very close. So this gap is called a professional or a formal gap between the two people. When the gap goes to 8 to 10 feet, when you are speaking, you are standing somewhere, and 10 feet apart there is somebody else sitting or standing, then it becomes a public. It's not a formal or a personal one anymore. It's a public one. And when you stand just next to somebody whispering into the ears of someone, then that becomes an intimate discussion where the distance between the two of you is very close. You are actually whispering into the ears of the other person. So this concept of space is called proxemics. And this is a very vital thing. In India, we don't give this much importance, but trust me, many of you will be traveling, and I'm sure many of you have already traveled outside the country, especially in the Western world. They give a lot of importance to proxemics. If you speak to somebody from the United States of America, if you go very close to that person will literally stop you like this with his hand saying, Mister, please stay away. Don't come so closer to my mouth. I mean, I'm not feeling comfortable about it. So these people are extremely conscious about, maintaining that gap. So that is called proxemics. I think the basic concept is clear. Now, understanding facial expressions. So whatever expression you do, the happiness, the anger, the sadness, the surprise, the shock, all the expressions we all understand, but that goes along with your verbal words. So if you say you are sad, you not only say it, but you show it from your face that you are sad. If you say you are happy, you don't say it, but you show it from your face that you are happy. So all of these emotions are emoted beautifully and nicely through your face. And this is the best expression, that that human beings have and no other animals have. That you can express through your face and you can, show it to the rest of the world. Okay. The rule of eye contact, as I said, it is primarily important and you cannot escape the importance of eye contact. If you're not making proper eye contact, that means you are not confident or maybe you are lying, which either way could not be true to you. So basically making proper eye contact is essential. Now, this one, tone of voice, we call it paraverbal communication. So when we talk about paraverbal communication, we basically mean quite a few things like the, sorry, like the pitch, the volume, the rate of speech, and your tone, all of that. Anything that you do within this part of your body, that you do from this part, it comes under parable. How many words you are speaking in 1 minute, how many words you are listening to in 1 minute, what is your rate of speech, what is your pronunciation and diction sounds like. Um, if you are being very serious or you are being very light. So your change in voice and tone, if you smile and then you speak, you sound different. If you're angry and then you speak, you sound different. So basically, this and your volume up and down, low and high, your pitch, all of that comes under paraverbal. And when you listen to something, you need to give a lot of importance to the paraverbal part, because for example this session, now you guys don't see me in reality in front of you, you are seeing me just through the camera. If I don't keep on changing my voice from time to time, you will eventually get bored and stop listening to what I'm saying. But if I keep on modulating the voice up and down with a lot of variation in it, with a lot of energy at times, and a little settled down sometimes, then there would be a lot of variation. And that would make you think that, okay, your unconscious brain would think that something interesting is coming my way. And that would keep you awake. You will not sleep off. You will not lose attention. Rather, you are always focusing on that one discussion that is going on. So, voice modulation is of supreme importance. We generally don't talk about it much, but it is something that can make an audience listen to you. It is something that can, let the audience go away. So it is the decisive factor, I can say. Cultural considerations, as I said, you might be working with a multinational company, so there could be people from different cultural backgrounds and upbringing and all different walks of life. So they might be having different ways of seeing the world. Accepting all that cultural values and showing up your culture as one of the best, and also giving due respect to other cultures, telling them non-verbally, telling them that I love your culture, it's so beautiful. This connection is very important. When you start accepting culture, when you start giving out your best, then there is this connection that happens, and this connection always lasts. So start considering the cultural differences instead of, being a little skeptical about somebody's culture. Rather, we should be very proud about taking somebody else's culture and passing on our culture to somebody. This is, and especially in India, we are such masters in it, because I believe Indian culture is one of the best in the world, and we are so culturally rich people, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, again from east to west. Everywhere we can see we have different states, different food, different language, different way of living. But there is one common feeling, that is the unity in diversity. We all have the same moral values, yet we all are so different from each other. That's the best part about being in this country. So I think, once you start loving your own people, you actually start loving the whole world. That's how. There's a saying in English which says charity begins at home. So when you start loving your own country and your own countrymen, you eventually start loving everybody who is in this world. Okay. Now, again, talking about mastering it, this can happen over a years of practice. This does not happen overnight if you are not conscious about how the person is feeling, or if you're not conscious about how to understand what the other person is feeling. This happens over, time, when you start realizing, okay, what he said was, not the truth, because his face didn't speak uh, the same way. Your parents always, especially your father, I'm sure, all of your fathers tell you कि बच्चे तुम अभी बहुत छोटे हो, बड़े हो जाओ, दुनियादारी समझ जाओ, फिर पता चलेगा. Now, why do you think this person tells you this all the time? Because this person has seen that, this person has experienced that. He knows that what people say from their mouth is not always the truth. And he wants you to find that out in your own life. He doesn't want you to find that out the hard way, but unfortunately, we all meet with a lot of obstacles while we start working, and we eventually have to find it out the hard way. But that's exactly what he means, that, it doesn't come overnight. With time, it teaches you a lot of things, and you start understanding people's real faces behind the masks that they have. Now, applying nonverbal communication in professional settings, very important. If you are firm and consistent about something, make the management know that you are good with it, and you are very steady with it. I mean, you have a fluctuating mind. You are sometimes thinking of this, sometimes thinking of that. That should not come across to the management, else they will think you are somebody who's very confused yourself. So, no, you are not confused. You are actually happy, you are confident, and you showcase that to the people. Now we talk about the barriers, the different communication barriers that come our way that needs to be understood. So let us talk about the barriers. What are the challenges? Now, before I start about the barriers, let me just tell you that barriers primarily could be of two different ways. The basic subcategory, I can say, I can break it into two ways. Number one, that is internal, and number two, that is external. Now external barrier is what? For example, you are talking over the phone and the network is poor and you are unable to hear the other person properly. Now it is an external problem that can be addressed. You change the network, you go to some other place, take somebody else's phone, and the communication will go smoothly. But if you have a barrier in your head, like for example, you are made to sit inside a classroom, you don't want to listen to the lecture. Maybe you are not at the best of your mood. Something wrong happened at your home, or maybe somebody passed away. You are not at the best, but you have come here for attendance. You know attendance is mandatory, and now you are listening. So, no matter how important things I tell you, those things will not register in your head because mentally you are not there. So these are internal barriers. And most importantly, maybe if there is, assuming there is one or two people in the audience who hate me, right? Now they don't like me no matter what I do. For some reason, they have some personal enmity with me. They don't like me, they hate me. Now, if that happens, even if I talk something that is for their good, still they will not be listening to me carefully because they don't like me. They hate me for some reason. So these are internal prejudices that cannot be removed and addressed so easily. So external barriers can be addressed, but internal barriers very difficult to address. With time, with multiple counseling, with situation changing, sometimes internal barriers can be addressed also, but that is time consuming. It doesn't happen overnight. If you don't like someone, you can't start liking that person from the next morning. Rather, over the time, if you realize that no, this person, whatever I thought was not correct, he's a good human being, then you have a different set of mind, but that is time consuming, of course. Let's understand what are the barriers first. Let us understand. It include language barriers, it include cultural differences or barriers, and emotional barrier. As I said, like I'm listening to this lecture, but mentally I'm at my home where I know that my grandmother is not doing well. I will not be listening to the lecture very attentively because my mind is there with my grandmother who is back at home. So there are certain emotional barriers that can never be addressed. I mean, for the time being, for that situation, it cannot be addressed. Going forward with the change in situation, it can be addressed. So internal barriers and emotional barriers are very difficult things to address. You can only a sensitive person who is sensible enough to understand what this other person is going through can actually do that. And here, when we talk about this emotional barrier, one word that comes to my mind is called emotional intelligence. Now, what is this? Now, this is a very big word. Please don't be scared about it. I'm not trying to scare you, but I'm just giving you a small example to explain what emotional intelligence is. Like, there are situations that come in our life, which is like, at times become very difficult for us to understand what is happening. Now, there we need to sit quietly, think about the pros and cons. If I do this, what good it will result and what bad it might result. So if you see that the pros are heavier and the cons are just one or two, then still you take that risk. So this balanced thought that you had right now in layman language, this is emotional intelligence. When you are thinking about pros and cons, when you're thinking about what could happen, what might happen, and then you are taking a step, and you are being emotionally intelligent. You have started analyzing situations and you are trying to figure out which way you should be taking. So, emotional barriers can be handled over with emotional intelligence, but that takes time. Okay, active listening, as I have already talked about, active listening is very, very important. It's a fundamental skill. If you do not listen to somebody actively, attentively, you will never be able to remember what this person told you. Clarity in communication, we have already spoken about this. Again, I am reiterating myself. Be clear with what you want to say. At least we are talking about professional relations. There, be clear. If your boss gives you a task, you are good to go for the task. Say, I'm okay. If you think you have doubts, say it right there, because there you did not say anything. After 3 days, when it is time for you to deliver the task, you come up with the excuses that no, I couldn't do it because I don't know this, I don't know that. Then the boss will immediately ask you, why didn't you tell me 3 days back? I could have given this task somebody else. Now, what about the time that I have wasted on you? So basically, clarity is essential when it comes to professional communication. Be clear with what you want, what you can, and what you cannot. Non-verbal communication, we have talked about this, so not getting into this anymore. And embracing diversity, this one also we have talked about, like different people, different skin color, different culture, different people, different religion, and we all are happy with everybody because that's exactly what we are supposed to be, right? Embracing all the diverse people around you with their diverse cultural backgrounds and religious beliefs. We all are together, we all are happy. That's exactly what is expected. Conflict resolution is a very, very important factor. Like if you are having a conflict again could be of two types, one which is internal conflict and one which is external conflict. Internal conflict is your own conflict with yourself. Like after 10th, you are thinking you should be, you feel like taking up commerce, but your parents are insisting you to take on science. Now that's an internal conflict. Of course, it can be an external also. You can fight with your parents. But moreover, the conflict that is going on within yourself. Shall I follow my heart? Shall I take commerce? Or shall I listen to my father or my parents or my relatives because they're asking me to take up science? So that's the internal conflict that you have. Again, external conflicts are easier to solve because people might come in there, they might help you, but internal conflicts can be very, very tricky at times. If you're fighting with yourself, only you can help yourself because you are not telling anybody else about the feelings that you have. So only you need to help. And majority of the people who are not happy with their lives, who suffer from depression or other things, they always have a lot of internal conflicts. So try to stay away from that. There's nothing called internal conflict. Forget you heard about this word. You just need to be happy, successful, always seeking help when you think you need some help, like just the way I do. Whenever I feel I need some help, I just, put my hand in front and say, I cannot do this. Can you please help me? And there is no shame in asking for help, and people are always there to help you. So start believing in yourself, start believing in the fact that something better, something great is going to happen to you. So you need to, fight for it. You need to, today is your time to fight. So fight out all your internal conflicts and get away with your life. Technology and communication, as I said, like multiple devices can be used. Mobile phones have become a part of our genetic build, I think. So we cannot survive without mobile phones, laptops, and technology has been a part of us. Okay, participating, practicing empathy. Now, this is also important. Empathy is what? First, let me explain the term, then probably it'll be clearer for you. Empathy is when you put yourself into somebody else's shoes and try to feel what this person could be going through. For example, when you see somebody has lost a job and you are working, everything is good with you, So when you meet this person who has lost the job, you would say, "Oh, I'm so sorry about you, bhai. Best of luck. तुझे job मिल जाएगा." That's sympathy. You are showing sympathy to that person. But when you think, when you talk about empathy, you think at home, कि in this market, if somebody loses a job, it's a terrible thing. I would not want anybody to lose their jobs. He's lost his job. I'm extremely sorry about it. Let me do something. Let me talk in my office and let me see if I can put him in my office. Because God, losing a job in this world is so tough. How will he run his family? He has poor parents, old parents to look after. Who will look after them? Let me do something. So when you actually put yourself in somebody else's shoes and you try to solve the problem with proactiveness, that is called empathy. And when you just console, "Arey, sab theek ho jayega, sab theek ho jayega," and then you go, that's sympathy. So try not to sympathize with people, rather try to empathize. Be empathetic. Try to understand what this person could be going through and always try to bring a solution to that. So that is one thing that will make you a great communicator because you have started understanding people's feelings. Last, the end of it, clarity, conciseness. This is actually a reiteration, a recap of what all we studied so far. So clarity and conciseness, I hope there is no doubt in this part. You are clear whenever you talk. Clearly say what you really mean. That makes it easier for the listener and also for you. Then adapting to the audience. If you think the other person who is listening to you is accepting what you are saying, it is always a good thing. If you feel that the audience is not accepting you, and when you give a public speech, you understand that very easily. You do the talking, they are sitting in front of you. Right now, I cannot see your faces. Of course, then I would have also tell you like if you're accepting it or not. But since I cannot see your faces, I do not know. I assume that you all are accepting my speech. But had this been a physical meeting, I was on the podium and you guys are sitting in front of me, I would instantly tell you in the first 10 minutes of the session that, okay, this audience is accepted. So the audience acceptance, there is a transfer of energy that happens between the speaker and the listener. So the speaker and the audience, there is a transfer of energy that happens. If I am energetic being a speaker, I make the audience feel energetic about it. If I am sad and all distressed, maybe the audience would turn all sad and distressed in the next 10 to 15 minutes. So there's a vibe exchange that happens. If audience laugh at something, you being a speaker, you also laugh at them, share a laugh with them, make them feel happy, make them feel that you are a part of them. You are nobody superior. Since you are talking, they're listening, you are nobody superior. You are just a part of the audience. You are delivering this because you have a bit more knowledge into the topic. So you are saying, and they're listening. Something else where they are good at, they will say, and you will listen. So this confidence building, this rapport building, this charm exchange has to be done between the audience and the speaker. Always a must. Conflict resolution, as I said, internal conflict should always be resolved first. Whatever your problems are, speak it out to somebody and try to get help, seek help from people who is an expert in that. And this person can also always help you in feeling better. Building rapport, this is so important. As I said, like at the end of the day, when you even address an audience, you are trying to build a rapport. When I meet my students outside my classroom, what do I do outside classroom? Like, job is to just deliver inside the classroom. I do that, and then all relationship ended. It ended in classroom. But does that really happen? I mean, it could happen with a few people, but for me, honestly, no. It doesn't happen there. My students come over to my home. If they have an occasion or function at their homes, I am invited. I go there and they treat me as a family member. I treat them as a family member, keeping that I would say professional terms, that limitations alive. We always try to exchange a lot of emotions, a lot of rapport between the two. When they are stuck somewhere, they always remember me, and I'll always try to help them out in some way or the other. Now, some people might question that outside the classroom, do I ideally meet students? Is it a good thing? I believe in today's world, everybody is extremely intelligent. They know their limits, they know their boundaries. So if you make cordial relationship with everyone, that helps you to become a better human being. Not only that, it helps you to grow your network also. And if you have a great network, you are successful anyway. So when you make and build rapport with people, you actually kind of increasing your own chances of becoming successful, because people are allowing you to venture out in different venues, and they are giving you all the help that you need at times. So start building rapport. It's always a good idea to build a rapport. Yes, it could be a professional one, it could be a personal one. I'm repeating myself. It's not always that you have to build a personal rapport with everyone, especially at work. No. But then there is no harm in saying a hi, or maybe sharing a cup of coffee with somebody you think you have, not met yesterday. You are meeting today for the first time. You had a professional discussion for 10 minutes. Now you can spend 5 minutes on having a cup of tea or coffee. That's all right. The rapport that you guys build, next time it will be easier for you guys to work together inside that professional premises. So this is called rapport building, something beyond the normal limitations, a little push that you give that makes your life all the more easier. Overcoming barriers, you have to identify the different barriers that are coming your way. If it is related to your upbringing, if it is related to your language, if it is related to your body language, whatever it is, you identify that, try to overcome that, and that's the best way of addressing it. And next, embracing feedback, always asking people for feedback. If they understood, they did not understand, they like it or they don't like it, ask people. It always gives you an upper hand. It gives you an advantage. It gives you an opportunity to learn more. Because if something today you guys did not understand, you give me a feedback that you did not, then maybe I have things to work upon myself. I need to improve myself in certain areas. So that is all about it. And harnessing technology, we have already talked about this. And ethical connection. Now, communication, this is also very important. When we talk about ethical, what is ethical, what is non-ethical? Ethical means things that you should be doing, things that you should not be doing. So when we are talking about official relationships, official background, within that professional environment, there are certain things that you should be doing and certain things you should not be doing. So stay away from things that you think is not ethical. Like your company is paying you to work for 8 hours. You somehow work for 1 hour or 2 hours, and then you don't do anything for the rest of 6 hours. You are actually not being ethical. You are not justifying yourself. You are cheating yourself, because I'm not saying that out of 8 hours you work 8 hours. No, of course, we all need breaks. We all need a little break, a little relaxation. But that's total 1 hour, 1 hour, 15 minutes, rest 6.5 hours. You can always work, right? And then that too, a lot of dedicated work. Interestingly, in India, we have this concept of having lunch hour, lunch break. But in the West, specifically in the US, people don't have anything called lunch or lunch break. They keep a lot of stuff on their desk. While they work, they keep on munching on something, and they don't have a proper lunch thing. They just keep on eating something. They just keep on chewing on something. And the whole day, they don't leave their work offices. They don't leave their workplaces. They sit there, they do their work. But yes, post their official hours, like if it ends at 5, if it ends at 6, whatever the timing is, post that hour, nobody can expect them to stay back and do some extra work, which we have started in India. Here we have this trend of working extra hours. We stretch, but they don't stretch. They are very particular about one thing, that if it is an off, it is an off. If I'm working, I'm working. 8 hours I'm meant to work, so I'll work all 8 hours, no lunch break included. But here we don't do that. We spend a lot of time here and there, but that is like again our own culture, own value. Can't blame anybody. But then what I believe is like what you think is ethical. If your company is paying you for certain things, you should be giving it back to the company, to the society, and expect what they expect you to do. You go ahead and finish it. So the conclusion, mastering the art of effective communication is a continuous journey. It doesn't stop in one day. It happens over the period of time, and that empowers individuals to build strong professional relationships and navigate challenges. You are not only making strong relationships, but you are also navigating challenges. There is a hurdle, you change your way. There's a hurdle, you change your way. So you always have different ways of traveling and achieve shared goals. Now, this is not all about individual goals, this is all about shared goals. What you think is your goal is actually the same goal is given to your colleague and the next person and the next person. So all of you within that office, they all are working for one goal. What is that goal? The growth of the company. Now, if the company grows, you also grow as an individual. So all of you are navigating all the challenges to find one goal. You all are working towards it, and you all are making your company a better place to work. Embracing the strategies presented in this session will elevate your communication prowess and contribute to your professional success. So I really hope what all I said, all the points that I made today, I hope it has helped you in some way to understand that what are the areas that you are not so good at, areas of improvement. Maybe you can work a little more towards it. Maybe you can put in a little more concept into it, and then as a result, you become a super successful figure to the entire world. Firstly, to yourself, then, secondly, to your family, specifically your parents, and then finally to the world. You are a success. So, with this, I complete my PowerPoint presentation, and I'll take the last 10-15 minutes for a little question answer round. So if any one of you have any question, please feel free to ask. Okay, shall I stop sharing now? Right? I can stop sharing now. I hope my audience have
Yeah.
already got it.
Thank you, Avik sir.
There's a lot of
Sir, there are a few questions in the chat box.
how to avoid toxic people in an organization. Well, toxic people, to avoid them, I don't know. Um, to be very honest, there is nothing called toxic, to be honest. I always feel that there's nothing called toxic. We make it toxic. So what you think is toxic for you, maybe the other person is also thinking you as toxic. It has to be vice versa, right? So whoever you think is toxic, the other person is thinking you toxic. So basically, are you toxic? No, that was that is not the case. So basically, there's nothing called toxic people, but I would say it is all about toxic situations. There are situations that that are created where people lose their temperament, and maybe they are all stressed out. There are too many things going on in life, and you are not able to cope up with that struggle. So that makes your situation very toxic, and hence you end up fighting or maybe having a cold war with somebody. So try to get away with that. How to speak properly in front of recruiter when I give interview, I get panic, and how to improve communication skill. Okay, Akshay Deshmukh. Well, Akshay Beta, this is very natural. I'll just cite one example from my life. When I was 23 and a half, I started my career. So on the first time when I was facing an audience, I was extremely nervous and my legs were literally shaking. So the people who had, like the person who had given me all the training, he was with me. He said, Ki, what happened? I said, it was winters and I was sweating. I was so nervous. So I said, please don't, my professor told me that don't be worried. And you know what, Avik, I think the nervousness that you have right now is actually good. It's good. So the day you don't have this nervousness, you won't be performing well. We would call it overconfidence. Maybe you think you can do everything, and that will spoil the game. So as long as you are nervous, you are actually in the right track. It's okay. We all get nervous. Even today, when the internet thing happened and when the technical glitch happened, I got nervous. I was like, oh my God, now how am I supposed to start? People are waiting. I'm apologetic. But then again, theek hai, internet hai. It's all about technology. It might have some glitches. That is no problem. So once I started speaking, everything flowed into its place. So I believe ki let that tension be there, bacha. It's very important that we all feel a little stress. Then only we perform. But then again, it should not come on you in such a way that you go blackout. You cannot perform. No, there you need to practice a little bit of deep breathing. That really helps. Though I don't want to sound like any, saint, but again, this helps when you practice regular breathing. That helps, and practice more. Start coming in front of a lot of people. Then only, dheere dheere with time this thing will go off. uh Okay, now thing is that since a lot of questions coming here and I'm unable to actually keep a track while I'm answering. So I would request if somebody is, asking me a question, can you please do that through the microphone? Can you open the mic and ask me the question directly? That makes it easier. I go blank during important conversations with HODs and chairpersons, and my expensive vocabulary reduces to 5 common words. How can I improve? Well, I think as I told you, Beta, we all have the same problem. I also sometimes go totally blank. So as long as you're not being blank, it is okay. But if you really do go blank, start practicing deep breathing session. Maybe a little meditation can help you. Maybe working on your vocabulary at times when you are available, when you're doing nothing. I mean, you are free. I mean, when you are doing nothing means you are free, you are available. You can sit and play with words, play around with a lot of words. I know all of that practice goes into zero when it comes to that situation. Nothing can help. Only your practice and having control over your nerves. So start controlling your nerves, start controlling your breathing. That will actually make you feel better going forward. This is one very good tip that somebody had shared with me, and it really worked. Okay. If there are some other questions, would you mind asking me that over the microphone? Yes, thank you so much, Amina. Any other question, Bacha? How to overcome stage fright or stage fear? Okay. Stage fear, why do you have to overcome? As I said, Naban, why do you need to overcome that? I am equally frightened even today morning before coming to all of you. So why do you have to come over? Did that actually impact my performance? No, no. I carried on with this entire conversation well, but I was extremely nervous. I think it's natural to be nervous. The day you stop becoming nervous, you actually become overconfident. And that day you will have a lot of goof ups. You will mess up the whole thing. So it's good to be nervous. It's natural to be frightened on stage. But a trick I can tell you that if you are on stage and there is an audience sitting in front of you, when you look, try not to look into the eyes of the audience, because if they are making some problem, creating some drama there, that will impact your performance. So you basically look above the heads of the audience. This way your eyes also look open, and you also don't see exactly what is happening. So stage fright, I'm talking about a literal stage. But if you mean within a room, you are standing and somebody else is sitting in front of you, that way it's difficult. But then again, you need to practice. The more you practice, the better for you. Hello, Rishikesh. How to make continuous eye contact in personal interview. That's very important, Naban. It's a very, very important thing. You need to make eye contact. And it could happen that there are two, three people sitting in the panelist and you are the only one. Now, I have seen people, children, what do they do? One person has asked you a question and you are looking at him, you are looking at the second person, you are looking at the third person, trying not to offend anybody and looking at each one of them. But that is incorrect. If Mr. X has asked you the question, you will give the entire answer looking at Mr. X. Then you will move on to Mr. Y, who will ask you the second question. And then you will move on to Mr. Z, who will ask you the third question. So continuously don't keep on distracting yourself. If one person is asking the question, look into the eyes of that one person, give answer, then move on to the next person. This is how it should ideally be done. Any tips how to retain information? I think again, I would say active listening is one tip. Start practicing to listen carefully. Sometimes when we do not pay much attention to something, we do not make it. Then there could be too many things going on in your head at the same time that can result in missing out of information. So if you want to retain information, start focusing on your priorities. Go for a little time management. Go for to-do list in the morning. I do this one first, this one second, this one third, and then there could be four, five, six jobs which are not done during that day. You could not finish it. Then do the to-do list next morning where the pending tasks will be on top, one, two, three, because they're already pending from the last day. So they need to be prioritized and they should be done first. So start managing your time. I think that will help you to, retain a few of the information that is that you think is going a little haywire. So start writing, start focusing, start active listening, and stay calm. This is ultimately the whole thing, to stay calm. I hope it is. I always feel low confidence, Nisha. No problem, Bacha. This happens, because you are not used to face a lot of audience. So far, you have always been limited to your family and a few restrictive friends. But once you start facing audience, I mean strangers to whom you are giving a presentation, over the time this goes off. This is pretty normal, natural with all of us. So nothing to worry about. You don't need to feel low confidence. I mean, you feel very confident about yourself. Trust me, the rest of the world starts feeling confident about you. So when you are dressed up in a nice dress, when you put on the best makeup, then when you go out, you feel nice, right? And your nice feeling leads to others, praising you. Are why you are looking very good. Why? Because you yourself feel you are looking good. So if you have low confidence in yourself, people will also have low confidence in you. Start feeling that, okay, I'm good, I can manage, I can handle. There could be problems, there could be goof ups. It's okay, we all do mistakes, and let's go ahead and fix it. So as long as you can go ahead and fix things, there is no problem that will come your way and stay for longer. I hope I have cleared with all the doubts. Is there anything else? I hope this session was useful to all of you. I again, once again, apologize for being a little late in the beginning. 15-20 minutes we wasted there. I wasted there because I couldn't log in. There were technical glitches and all. So I hope the rest of the session was all good. And anything else, or we shall close this.
Thank you, Avik sir.
Okay. In that case, I'll just, give me a little time. I'll ask somebody to close this.
Yes, Avik sir, thank you. Uh, so, my esteemed guests and participants, good evening. On behalf of Lovely Profession University, I stand before you with a heart full of gratitude and appreciation as we brings the curtain down on this enlightening workshop. Today has been a day of immense learning, insightful discussions, and a wonderful exchange of ideas. We extend our heartfelt gratitude to our distinguished speaker, Mr. Avik Chakrabarti, Assistant Professor, Lovely Profession University, for gracing us with their profound knowledge, expertise, time, and sir, your insightful have truly been enlightening and have left an indelible mark on all of us. We extend our appreciation to our seniors,
Thank you.
Ms.
Thank you
Gini
so much.
Rijwan,
Thank you so much.
Senior Director, Mr. Manish Kumar, Director, Center of Distance and Online Education, who have unwavering support, has made this workshop possible. Your commitment to education and knowledge sharing is truly commendable, and we are grateful for our continued support and guidance. A special note of thanks goes to our organizing team, Ms. Parminder Kaur, Mr. Rohit, whose meticulous planning and hard work has ensured the smooth execution of this workshop. Your dedication behind the scenes has not gone unnoticed, and today's success is a testament of your efforts. Last but not the least, to all our attendees, both present here and who have joined virtually, thank you for being a part of this journey, for uh, you have dedicated your valuable time to be a part of this workshop. Your enthusiasm, engagement, and thoughtful questions have added a dynamic dimension to today's session. It is your active participation that has made this event truly exceptional. We hope that the insights gained today will have a lasting impact on your personal and professional life. As we conclude this workshop, let us carry forward the lesson learned and the ideas exchanged into our daily life. Let's continue to strive for excellence, embrace continuous learning, and contribute to the betterment of our respective fields and society at large. Thank you. Have a wonderful evening. Thanks a lot. Students, we have also shared the link for your valuable feedback in chat box. Just do fill up the feedback form before leaving. Thank you.